Hi, it's me again. I just wanted to quickly show you how I make kefir. So this is one that I've had going since, well, about 24 hours ago. So this is, the kefir grains are in the bottom. This is the milk, and this is a 2 quarts? 2 quarts? I don't know. Doesn't matter, but it's a big one anyway. So this has been in here for about 24 hours fermenting. And I have a coffee filter on the top with an elastic because during this part of the fermentation process it needs to breathe. So, so this has been in here for about 24 hours. It doesn't always take 24 hours, but the way that I can tell if it's ready is I look down at the bottom and it's just barely starting to separate. You can see right here, there's little pockets of whey. So that tells me that it's ready. If I let it go too long, they're going to get bigger and bigger, and you might end up with a lot of whey, like all up in here and up in here. Then it's going to be over fermented. It's going to be thin, and I don't like it that way. Some people do. I like it really thick. So I like to catch it when it's about like this, where it's just starting to show a couple of little bubbles. So what I do from here is I just take the lid off. The grains actually rise to the top. I don't know if you can, no, I better not tip it. But the grains, actually I'm doing it the wrong way. No, you can't tell. Okay. So anyway, the grains float to the top. So I stir all of it together. That way you get a lot of the curds and things off of the grains. So I just mix that around to separate it and to kind of clean off the grains a little bit so it won't be difficult to do later. So then I have a fine mesh strainer. I've heard that kefir grains do not like metal. So I had to order this online. It's a fine mesh strainer. They come in all different sizes. I bought a set of, I think it was 3 or 4 different sizes. So I just put that over a container that I can pour out of. And I pour it in here, and as you can see, it's nice and, well, maybe you can't see, but it's really thick, nice and thick, the way that I like it. When I first started making kefir and I didn't know what I was doing, I was letting it ferment way too long, and it was separating a lot, and the whey was, I was getting a lot of whey, so I was getting really thin kefir that was very sour, and it was not carbonated. And some people love it that way, and there's nothing wrong with drinking it that way, but I don't like it like that. I like it nice and thick. So anyway, I'm just separating it out. See how thick that is coming through there? Nice and thick. And I just, you can bang it on here to get it out. So these are the grains. These are kefir grains. And these actually grow and multiply the more you do it. In the beginning, mine multiplied like crazy. They're not multiplying as much anymore, so I haven't had to throw them out or give them away or anything. But this is a really big grain here. Some of them are big like this, and that just means they're older, so they're all clumped together. But then there's little tiny grains that are newer grains. But I guess as they develop, here's a little new one, they just get bigger. But anyway, so this is like probably about a tablespoon of grains, but these are really strong because I've been using them for about a year. So they can actually ferment a whole container like this, where in the beginning they couldn't even ferment a quart size. So anyway, I use the same jar because it has all that good bacteria in it already. I put the grains back in if I'm planning on making more, which I am right now. So I put them back in that jar. I'm all done with that. And then I've been using organic whole milk. Oh yeah, and then I pour a little bit of the starter. Well, I call this the starter. This is the stuff that I already made. I pour a little bit in there, but you really don't have to. I do it plenty without that. So then I just fill it up to about here. And then I like to mix it around just to get everything blended. And then I put this back on. And I keep an eye on it, but usually it's around 24 hours. It really depends on the temperature of the room, how strong your grains are, things like that. But you want to shoot for about 24 hours because that's the best. You don't want it to ferment too fast because if it ferments too fast, it's just going to thin out too much. So this one's done. This will go for about 24 hours until tomorrow, the next step. So then for this that already went through the first process, then I just pour this into a couple of different jars. Okay, that's actually probably too full because you want to leave a little bit of room in there because when it separates a little, which it probably will, you're going to need a little bit of room, so that's probably a little bit full. So I think I'm going to add just a teeny bit in there just to make some room, and I'm going to grab a paper towel and just wipe this. All right. Don't want to waste any. Okay, now for this step, well, let me put this back on. For this step, you're doing what's called a second ferment. So you just put, this time you're going to put a lid on tightly. And then you're going to leave these jars out of the refrigerator still for a couple of hours, several hours. It doesn't really matter. I usually leave them out for about 4 hours. You don't even really have to do that. You can put them right in the fridge. You can actually drink it at this stage, but it's better if you let it be in the fridge for like 24 hours, let it get nice and cold. There probably will be a little bit of separation. If I get too much separation and there's whey down here, I like to take a chicken baster and get the whey out because I do like mine to be thick. If you like it thinner, you can just shake it up, let the whey mix with it, and that's fine. When I get a good batch, which I'm hoping this is, it's going to be carbonated, which is my favorite. I absolutely love it when it's cold and thick and carbonated, but it's not always like that. In this stage of the process, if you want this flavored, you can put in a couple of pieces of fruit. You can put in a washed or boiled orange peel or a lemon peel just to give it a flavor. And you won't like eat the fruit with it or anything, but it's just for flavor. You can put a cinnamon stick in it. There's all different things. You can do whatever you want. So anyway, so this will stay out on the shelf for approximately 24 hours, depending on how quickly it's done. This I'll leave out for a few more hours and put that in the fridge later on today. And that's pretty much it. Now, if I had decided that I'm not going to make another batch right now, I would have put this in a small jar. I would have put the grains. I would have put the grains in a small jar with a little bit of fresh milk and put it in the refrigerator for a few days until I was ready to make more. Because you always want to feed your grains. They always have to be in milk. So anyway, that's how I do that. I also just quickly, I just started a gluten-free sourdough starter yesterday. I've done this before, but I was taking a break from this because I wasn't sure how it was affecting me. But I started it yesterday, and it's just using brown rice flour and water, basically. But when I have some whey, which I did because I had some kefir that separated and it had some whey on the bottom, I separated that out and filtered it, and I used some of the whey to start my starter because it has the good bacteria in it. So what normally takes about a week, because this has to like ferment and stuff, and you can't really use it for about a week. And you have to feed it a couple of times a day, which I'm not going to get into all of that, but You have to feed it and everything. This isn't ready to use yet, but the whey really gave it a good head start. So that's sourdough, and maybe I'll do more about that later. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that. As far as I go, I'm a little bit discouraged. I'm a lot discouraged actually today because my stomach has been bothering me a lot today and having trouble with the whole digestive process, if you know what I mean. And I'm not going to get into too many details, even though I said I'm going to be really honest and stuff, but there's only so much I want to share. So I'm not feeling that great today. I think I've got a lot of toxins that are built up inside that aren't being released the way that they need to be. So I definitely have to work on that. And I'm trying not to be discouraged, trying to stay positive, keep going, and trust God. So anyway, that's it for now. I hope that this was helpful in some way for anybody who wants to start trying this kind of thing. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.